Hello and welcome to Twist List. Today we are looking at Top 10 Intriguing Riddles from History. The riddle, in one form or another, has been around for centuries. Some of them rhyme, while others are just a few words. Collected below are 10 of the best, most popular, beloved, and challenging riddles from history. The fifth spot on the list is occupied by Britain. Answer: if I asked the other guardian which door leads to heaven, what would he tell me? This one is a riddle from one of the smartest men who ever lived, Albert Einstein. In fact, tradition says he came up with it as a child. While not a riddle in the traditional sense, it is still an interesting gauge of one's intellect and focus. Einstein once famously opined that only 2% of the population would be able to solve it. Some people argue that he meant only 2% could do it in their head and that many more people could solve it on paper. Number 4 on the list is What We Caught. The riddle is as follows: there are 5 houses, with 5 occupants, each with a different color house, different beverage of choice, different favorite brand of cigarette, and a unique pet. The goal is to figure out who owns the fish. Here's all the info you get. 1. The Englishman lives in the red house. 2. The Swede keeps dogs. 3. The Dane drinks tea. 4. The greenhouse is just to the left of the white one. 5. The owner of the greenhouse drinks coffee. 6. The Pall Mall smoker keeps birds. 7. The owner of the yellow house smokes Stonehills. 8. The man in the center house drinks milk. At the third place we have the Norwegian lives in the first house. Bees making a honeycomb in the carcass of a lion has a neighbor who keeps cats. One of the most beloved authors of all time, the man who smokes Masters gives us our next riddle. 12. In his book, the man who keeps horses lives next to the Dunhill smoker. Alice is at a tea party with the Mad Hatter, who decides to give her a riddle. 14. Why is a raven like a writing next to the blue house? No answer is given because the blind smoker has a neighbor who drinks water admits he doesn't know the answer either. Samson, many famous people have superhuman strength and their own solution, came up with one of the top riddles of all time. Aldous Huxley was having a feast for some of his acquaintances when he decided to make a little wager. If his guests failed or not noted, Samson would give them 30 articles of fine clothing. Carol himself actually did provide an answer to his famous riddle for him, mostly because fans would not stop hounding him about following Carol's answer. Out of the eater became something to eat, and out of the straw came something sweet. And it is Navarre were unable to solve the riddle, probably because you would have to have been there to get a riff on the heaven hell riddle we mentioned earlier. Samson's wife tricked him into telling her the answer, published in 1996 by the American philosopher and logician George killed 30 men of the same town, was inspired by Raymond Smully, and gave them to the designer of his number of logic problems. And finally, at number 1, who has the fish? There are 3 gods on an island. One god always tells the truth and another always lies. The twist which makes this more difficult is that the third god's behavior is random. In addition, the gods, being jerks, answer in their own language and you don't know which word, da or ja, means yes or no. You have 3 questions to work out which god is true, which god is false, and which god is random. Answer. Question 1, to any god, if I asked you is that god random? Would you say ja? This question, regardless of the answer, will let you identify a god who is not random, i.e., one who is either true or false. Question 2, to the god who is either true or false, if I asked you were you false? Would you say ja? Question 3, to the same god as the last question, if I asked you is the first god I spoke to random? Would you say ja? Still confused? The key lies in the fact that both true and false will give the same answer to a question phrased as if I asked you X, would you say ja? So, for example, let's say ja means yes. If you asked if I asked you is the sky blue? Would you say ja? Both gods would answer ja. If ja means no, both gods would answer da. So when you ask if I asked you is that god random? Would you say ja? Both gods must answer ja if the truthful answer to is that god random is yes, and if the truthful answer is no,
The Continental
god you are
Army's
talking to
strength
is
was
random,
rapidly
it doesn't
dwindling
matter,
due to an
since you are
amazing
just trying
ability
to find a god who
defeat,
is not
whether
random and
attacking
either
or
answer will be
defending.
correct.
Faced with
From
a
there,
British
the
army
remaining
11,000
questions are
strong
relatively
and twice the
straightforward.
size of his own, American commander Benjamin Lincoln moved his 5,500 men behind the reassuring walls of Charleston, South Carolina. With that one decision, Lincoln 4 on the list ended all American resistance in the state. The city of Charleston lies between two rivers on what soldiers and Marines held off over General 4,000 American attackers at the point of said peninsula, forcing their retreat. Land forces to cut off any possible chance of escape. Other American efforts during the war on one side to bombardment from the greatest navy in the history of guns near Champlain, predictably, New York, where the British forces were garrisoned, was just any old construction, though. On the afternoon until the Battle of Corregidor in American artillery fired upon the garrison at largest surrender in the American Army's besides make a lot of noise. British sorties forced the Americans to abandon their artillery multiple times. Somehow, the defenders managed to repulse all the infantry charges. The only trouble for the British was a dwindling supply of ammunition. By 6 o'clock that same evening the American army had hastily retreated eastward. While the defenders suffered 61 wounded or killed, the British had managed to reduce the American strength by some 264 casualties. Not surprisingly, Loch Hull Mill was the last battle American General James Wilkinson directed, as he was mercifully relieved of command thereafter. Standards were pretty low during the War of 1812. Merely having a pulse may have been enough to qualify you to lead Americans to their deaths. At the third place we have the Ponchovia expedition. How many Americans does it take to catch a Mexican bandit? At least 5,000, because John Pershing and his 4,800 American troops spent the better part of 1916 chasing Ponchovia around northern Mexico with almost nothing to show for the effort. Pershing spent 11 months trying to capture Villa, who had been raiding American border towns. Despite failing to complete his sole objective, Pershing was undeterred and in an enormously ballsy PR move declared the mission a great learning experience, and thus actually a success. Apparently, at the second spot learning experience garbage up, since Civil War was expedition was greeted by large crowds and applause in Petersburg, Virginia, victorious return to El Paso. Armies were entrenched amidst a standoff. Union leaders had a somewhat brilliant idea: dig a long tunnel underneath the Confederate position, blow it up, then attack while the Confederate lines are in disarray. The first two-thirds of the above plan went off without a hitch, until the Union tried to press its advantage and attack. First, it took almost 15 minutes finally for the Union to mount its attack. Then the scaling ladders needed to climb out of their own trenches failed to materialize. Its finest, but the real kicker was the attack itself. The Battle of Bladensburg is the cherry on the massive of the American embarrassment. Inexperienced Union troops jumped into it. The British were looking to end this farce of a war and naturally laid eyes on the American capital of Washington, D.C. Any advantage they might have had for arrived British reinforcements were generally a bad idea. The Confederates rallied and aimed their artillery at the massive quality advantage. The Union troops had put themselves to beat them with numbers. American militia numbering 6,000 met 4,000 and British veterans as Bladensburg counterattack failed to flank the Confederates. The British fired cover in the crater. Only about half of the 8,000 Union troops involved survived the battle unscathed long enough to fire a couple of volleys before taking off running. Returned to their trenches and sat there for another 8 months. 10 or 12 men, but almost all of its pride. That night Washington burned, thanks to the American inability to delay the British advance by even a few hours. The hasty, disorganized American retreat has been called the most humiliating episode in American history.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see more, then please hit the subscribe button.